Changes in my life.
Bing, 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 bing.
You will see in time.
Seasons, bro.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Here we are. Hello.
I don't even know what episode we're on. Six or seven.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sorry, I was out of town last week, and I was literally running like a crazy person trying to get everything done. I was gonna leave Thursday morning, afternoon, evening, and I didn't leave till Friday morning. So it was that crazy.
It's pretty crazy.
And I'm in the office today.
Yeah, well, I had COVID, so that's cool.
We're just gonna come right out and tell the world.
I mean, I wasn't even going to tell the world to begin with, but
I wasn't gonna go there.
Sam was the one who wanted to tell the world.
She
like,
did
hey,
put it on her Insta.
Huh?
She did put it all over her Instagram.
I know, and that's why I was like, girl, you want to tell the world, that's fine. Like, all right. But I just think it's hilarious that in this narrative of recording hey guys, welcome to the conversation. I'm like, get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated, blah, 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 blah. And then I got the
COVID. Did she ask you if she could post it on Instagram first? Or
No.
You need to get your wife to submit to you, bro.
Nah, it's not that. I think she has control of my HIPAA anyway because we're married. So
is that how it works?
I don't know how it works. I just know that.
Two things on that subject.
Oh, really?
Well, we have a vendor that's requiring vaccination proof in order to enter their facility, which I go to. And I saw on the news today, somebody posted that starting like January 4th, companies larger than 100 employees are going to have to require the vaccine, even private businesses. So
I don't know. That's a whole nother bigger, scarier thing than just vaccinations in general. That's like...
I see my company doing it anyway. Like, who cares?
I mean, who cares? But just don't grow a third eye and don't get a tracker device put inside of you.
I'm more so, it's more like a principle of the matter. Like, I'm not worried about any adverse effects. I just don't like being told what to do. Let me decide it on my own. Don't peer pressure me into it. Don't make it a law. Like, let me decide it's important and let me go do it if I want to.
Yep. Yes and yes and yes. And I'm to the point where Sam and I butt heads in this. Like, at what point do you just accept that America is not going, we're not going 100% here, we're not going crazy. We're not saying we've officially shifted into a communist country where no democracy is your freedom and everything doesn't exist anymore. That's not where I'm going. But this is a step, a turn into that direction, where if you want to go to the grocery store, you have to pass 2 checkpoints to show your card to be able to do it. And
it makes me wonder to combat that. Like, I feel like early Americans, like when we had big civil wars, like the things of our history, like, am I the type of person who's going to stand up and lose everything and quit my job and to really hold firm to
exactly
to my belief?
That's ultimately what I told Sam. I said, Sam, what did, like, I'm all for the don't tell me what to do. I'm all for the, hey, if I thought it was right for me to get a vaccine, then I will do it. And we don't have to go into the stats of people who get vaccines still get COVID or another version of it because it's a virus. It morphs after every host. So it's like, anyway, at what point do you have to submit to do what's right for your family in the country that you're living in? I mean, now we're going into like people who are trying to come to America because of the freedoms we have and because of the rights we have as an American citizen. People are trying to just throw their children over the wall. This has been happening for decades, centuries now, where there's a better life in someplace else. So at what point do we decide, hey, there's a better life in Canada or Mexico or across the world? Like,
well, and then you got all the people who are like super afraid and maybe they have a right to, based off of how things have gone down in the history books, as like, is this a slippery slope? Like, right now, who cares? It's a vaccine, no big deal, just go do it. But then is that saying we will be more pliable to future mandates?
Yeah.
Which is like, nobody has a crystal ball. You don't have to doomsday it. Like, I feel like the hard right has the ability to demonize and make things bigger than they are. Like
Yep.
especially when with like gun rights was another one. Like people were like, oh, if you take away our guns or if you start to enforce stronger restrictions on guns, and that's just a slippery slope for them to disarm the American people. Which I don't know if I mean that's a constitutional right. I don't think anyone's ever going to disarm Americans, but will they make it harder for you to buy, own, and carry a gun? Yes, and it is. It's like where does it stop? And I'm glad I'm not in a position where I have to like help make those rules. I don't have any power, so I just kind of have to flow with the river, right?
Yeah.
Then if you want to take it to a biblical mandate, God does require us to submit to the authorities put above us. So if the federal government says you got to be vaccinated by January 4th and you say no, then you're living in sin because that is an authority put above you. And I don't know what the Bible would necessarily say as far like when how because that's not necessarily I mean there might be people who could come into the comments or people who like can reinterpret the Bible to say that the vaccine is a sin. So the government obviously can't require us to sin like that would we don't have to submit to that authority. But is it?
Well, I mean, at what point are you picking and choosing what's right and wrong based off of an interpretation of what you read in scripture?
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, there was an entire 8 months, 6-8 months where churches were highly encouraged and gosh, to the most part, penalized for still hosting church services and gatherings when they was saying, hey, don't gather. Your people are going to get sick and they're going to die if you gather.
And we had an amazing season of people finding alternative ways to continue to worship because they weren't telling us you couldn't worship and you couldn't congregate because we moved to a church online and it was a fun season.
But I'm going to the side of the churches that chose to say, hey, too bad we're doing it anyway. Because I mean, by the way you put it, the way you just put it was great. Because at this point, we're saying no, we're not submitting to what our government's suggesting or encouraging best for our health. We don't serve man, we serve God. And forget this, we're doing church together anyway. And there's still gatherings of 2,000 plus people in a church who have never stopped. And whether they're fine or not is not the case. The action and the choice of the heart of the matter is not submitting or serving your local government or your city government, whatever. So I just
I remember when all those all that drama went down. I mean, it was barely over a year ago, because it was like, how can churches partner with the government to say, hey, we hear you, we understand the importance, and like we were able to spin it in a way of, no, you're not taking away our religious freedoms. We are here to cooperate because it's not forever. It's not the government coming in and saying you can no longer worship God. That's totally different. They were just saying, yo, churches, can you help us out for a few months to slow this thing down and not meet in person and switch to online? And I think that the large church, and at least in Las Vegas, complied. I feel like most churches were like, yeah, no big deal. I mean, well, there was a big deal. There was definitely conversations because you have those biddies in church who were like, how dare you? But I think that for the most part, that season has pretty much blown over, and now like nobody's saying churches can't meet anymore, and they're not putting requirements on people. But vaccines now, hot topic.
Hot.
So now that you've had it, do you need the vaccine, or do you have the antibodies for it now, so you don't need the vaccine anymore? Because isn't that some people say you have to either show your proof of vaccine or proof of a negative result after having been exposed or affected by it?
I have not even gone that far into research. I pretty much just take all this off of common sense. So if I've had this specific strand of what they call SARS-2, then I've overcome it. We'll get there. I have a negative test, and
did Sam have
antibodies are there? Like you wouldn't get this again. And if I did, it would probably be very mild after the virus continues to morph after different hosts. So 6 months from now, we'll probably get another version of the SARS thing, which we basically did, which is called the Delta virus, because it's something that morphs. Once it hits the world, it just continues to morph and build until the world develops antibodies, and then until the next one. This is just how it's been for decades.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not getting the vaccine still, because I have had it. Now I have the antibodies, and whatever version of it affects me or my family, we will overcome it because our bodies fought it off the way they're built to do it. Other people don't have as strong, different immune systems and stuff, and we want to care for others. The whole point of this is still caring for each other, but just how you want to mandate it's a whole other issue. You want me to wear a mask where I go every single day out into the world so that someone else doesn't get my sickness? Sure, I will do that for you. I don't care. I'll wear a mask. Fine. It's annoying. It's obnoxious. It's kind of a pride thing that it's like, oh, you make me wear a mask. But at the end of the day, if it's for someone's health and it will help somebody else, then why wouldn't I do it? You know what I mean?
Totally.
Anyway. Well, so welcome to week whatever this is a podcast. We out here just getting it.
Spitting facts, yo.
Just getting it. Not to say that I know the right answer to any of this, but this is just what I see and believe. Haunting on Hill House. Was there a version of this? 13 I need to buy? Russell, I'm going to finish my degree officially.
Me too, in a year.
But this is going to be your second degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Haunting on Hill House is a Netflix show, isn't it?
It was originally a book from long ago. If I'm looking this up right now.
There are so many rabbit holes you're sending me off in the things you're talking about. Books.
Well, I'm needing to get these books for class that started a week ago. So thank goodness for Amazon delivered tomorrow.
I know I already talked about it, and every time I bring it up on the podcast, nobody cares, so they tune me out. But I am mildly obsessive. Like whatever how Star Trek fans are called Trekkies. Like whatever the fandom name is for this book series I'm reading, I've decided today that I am that. Because like I'm at that point where I'm so obsessed with it now that I'm watching like YouTube videos of people talking about it. Like that's
about what?
It's a book series. It's 15 books. It's a fantasy book series called Wheel of Time.
Okay.
They're coming out with a show on Amazon Prime this month. It comes out on November 19th. And I wish I had more people who are fans like me. And I really want to organize a watch party, but nobody wants to watch it. It's good. I finished the first book in preparation for the show coming out, and then I started the second book, and I'm already halfway through it after having read it for a week. And I'm at that point where I'm like, I cannot get enough of this content. And I'm so excited that I have 13 more books ahead of me to unfold this world.
13
books. It's 15 books in the series. He passed away, I think, after book 12. And another big fantasy author, Sanderson, which Jordan would know who Sanderson is, but he wrote the last 3 books. It was only supposed to be 1 book, but it ended up becoming the last 3 books that he wrote.
Wow.
It's good. It's good versus evil, a whole fantasy world of magic and adventure. And it's got a lot of parallels to Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
He was very influenced by Tolkien, but people a lot. I don't have authority to say this because I've only the little bit that I've been exposed to it. But a lot of people say this is the best American fantasy novel ever written, because like Tolkien's not American. I don't even know who else came. Whatever, like Harry Potter world didn't come out of America. So American author writing a fantasy novel. It's the great American fantasy is what people claim it to be. I don't know. I'm only in book 2, loving it so far. I'll keep you posted. The show is looking so bomb. Like every time they release a new like trailer or like spoiler scenes, I am there for it.
Okay. I get I get hooked on my manga series as well, so I can relate.
Will you watch the show with me?
I will watch the show with you.
No, you won't. You don't care. What are you looking up? You are very divided right now in your attention.
I'm hearing you. I'm also having to get this Amazon list together because I have to write my discussion on half of the Book of Frankenstein that I haven't even read yet. So this week will be Spark Notes, and then next week I will finish Frankenstein and I'll have more of a discussion. The premise of this idea of monstrosity in our history is that we can relate to monsters and we enjoy monsters. And why is it that things in humanity have become, I wouldn't say like branded or like topical, but why is it that Dracula is so fascinating to the human race during that time? Why is it that we as kids relate to Monsters Inc. Incorporated? Like, why do we love that? Like, what is it about monsters? Is it their characters? Is it the weird physical shapes that they have express our internal ideas and fears that are expressed in a certain way? Like, it's a very fascinating topic.
Did you ever watch Westworld
with us? Yes, of course. I watched that whole season 1. I didn't watch season 2. Season 2 got into
one of the premise, and this is answering your question or talking about what you're talking about. One of the premises of Westworld, I feel like, was they created this adult theme park where you could go if you were rich once a week and blow off steam, sexually, violence, like those things that you can't do in the real world because you would go to
Yes.
jail for it or people
Yes.
would judge you for it. You go there to blow off steam because I believe, and if you want to make it biblical, you can, but at the core of who we are, we're all villains, and you have to somehow feed that part of yourself. Like you can't hate that part of yourself because we're all evil, we're all wicked. And I
Yep.
think that when you see a villain in a story, like as a kid, you watch Disney movies and you see a villain and you're taught to no to the villain. But as you get older and you relate to the villain a little bit more and you realize that there's more to the story, that usually they're a victim of their circumstance, you can relate to what they've gone through and the choices they made that made them the villain and how you
Yep.
could have easily done the exact same thing. And so when you read horror stories or books such as Dracula or Frankenstein, you sit there and go, I relate to this character, and it
Yes.
feeds that dark part of me.
What I really enjoyed off of different themes, so she had just, I mean, we had 7 different theories that why of humanity relates to those characters and for those things, like is they're able to, they have good and good and evil in their heart, and they can relate to those evil desires, and there's those evil thoughts that show up and they can see it in those kind of movies or monsters, whatever. One that I thought was great, the reason why we can relate to monsters is because there's the piece that we are fearful of, but it's also that fear that gives us excitement and desire. So for the example of like a roller coaster, like the fear and the butterflies in your stomach drops the idea of going, oh my gosh, I'm going to ride the Superman at Six Flags, I'm going to ride that, and you're terrified, but you're also super excited because you want to dive into that. And I was my first week theory on how we go through life. Like there are things that I am super excited about that I want and I desire in my life, but they're also the things that absolutely terrify me. Getting married was something I always wanted. A little scary in commitment levels. Having children is to this day the greatest thing that I think I could ever have signed my life to or committed to, but also days where I'm terrified that I'm responsible for their livelihood and for their progression as little humans on this
And you
planet.
will be forever, and you never can get out
Like
of that
in
contract.
those moments, I can just relate to like, hey, there's this sense of excitement and fun and fear, but also like not even just, it's terrified, like I cannot do this, and those things working together at the exact same time. It's different idea on fear, but
Yeah.
Going down the good and evil path, I pick it out because I'm doing a handful of things as I'm watching, and I've had 10 days of sickness, and today's my last day, and I'm free. I'll be around the normal people again
Have you
tomorrow.
tested negative yet?
I no.
Are you going to take a test before you go out in public?
No.
Do you feel better?
I mean, I haven't had any symptoms. My nose is better.
Did Sam go get her acupuncture?
Sam did not get her acupuncture.
Why not?
Because we have been kind of in a very depressive, dark place for the last 7 days. So
sorry.
It's good. I mean, we were just lots of resting, lots of catching up on laundry, and spending good time with kids while they're still fighting some of their symptoms. Like, she didn't wake up for it, and I didn't want to wake her up because I didn't want her to go to acupuncture, and it's just been a hot mess.
Why didn't you want her to go to the acupuncture?
Because it's scary. Don't put thousands of needles in your face.
It's her body, her choice. She could put
Stop
needles
this right now. You did not just pro-choice on me right now. Oh my God. Oh no, you were not going down that road.
Yeah, we are. Why not?
No.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
Oh my.
All right, I interrupted you. You were talking about good and evil. You're stuck in the house. You're in a dark place.
That was it. I don't know how we got in a dark place. Oh yeah, watching a movie. That's what it was. So I watched Star Wars. I watched Twilight, and now I'm watching the Harry Potter again because you just throw some on the TV and you take care of the kids. Whatever.
Yeah.
So again, premise of every movie and of every story ever, and I'm waiting for the Jesus moment that happens with Harry because that's the whole movie. It's the best and greatest thing that any story has to offer on this planet is somebody giving their life for somebody else. Iron Man gives his life for everybody. Harry Potter gives his life and is reborn again. Like it's just the same Jesus story. And there's the moment of Sirius Black talking to Harry. He says, Harry, everyone has the good and the dark fighting within them, but and then the encouragement is like, oh yeah, focus on the things that make you different and unique and positive instead of focusing on the negative and the things that make you evil like everybody else. But I just thought, another moment in life where it's our choice to decide. We reap what you sow, and it's your choice.
That's
you
right.
Pro-choice.
Stop.
I don't even know how I got on this topic of all the things. I don't. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
So
We all know that we make dumb decisions.
I don't know if I want to go here because a couple of my coworkers have found this.
Uh-oh.
Found my YouTube channel. Not that we've said anything bad, but it's just like, work stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I love my job. I love my immediate team, but our company is like 200 people. So I don't know, like, on a personal level with a lot of people. So when you have like an event and you throw us all into a room to like eat food and mingle, and I don't have like my Tiffany or my Darren, and I'm like,
in your clusters, right? Your little teams that you work with.
we're all work from home. I'm the only person in my immediate team here in the building today. So it's me and like 20 strangers whom I've had Zoom calls with and talked online to, but have never sat, and it's all been work related. I've never like, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, that's a dumb question. We work for the same dumb company. Like, what do you, it was, I ended up excusing myself and coming and hiding up in my office because I was like, and they got this taco truck that was fusion tacos. So it was like octopus tacos and weird things I was just not about. So I was like, I'm out. So I hid up in my office. You're very distracted. It's funny because I can see when your eyes are reading something and you're like,
we said we weren't going to look at each other as much, so I'm listening.
I'm doing my homework and I'm being good and I have no interest in what you're saying. That's when you say, that's crazy, bro.
That's so crazy, bro. I know, but I'm trying to think of the response while I'm doing 10 other things. What I'm saying about, so you don't even have, are you saying you're a loner? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I would rather be a loner than have to mingle with a bunch of people that I don't know. Because I'm an introvert and it costs a lot of money for me to go down there and talk. Especially because it's a bunch
Does it though? Does it?
And I say this lovingly. I don't want to, because I'm sure they're all really cool people, but it's a bunch of introverts. So I need like an extrovert to come and be like, be a part of our conversation and let me drive it. Instead, it's I am the outgoing introvert in a room full of introverts, who just sit there and eat and stare at each other in awkward silence. And I'm like, this is too much. I'm out. Goodbye.
This was something that I think is really a coming of age moment or a realization that I've yet to fully like embrace, because I think it does come down to this introvert extrovert. When you're a kid, and you go to a friend's house and you sit at the kitchen table, the dining room table, whatever, you're in that weird moment where the parents are there and your friend went upstairs, and like, is it not one, the host job of the house or the event or whatever to start or engage conversation, ask questions, or two, like the adult to be the one to host or to get to know or to just have light, small conversation? Is it not the adult's responsibility to do that?
Absolutely. If I had people in my house and there was people who didn't know each other and I see them sitting alone, not talking to anybody, I'm going to engage them.
It's your job as the host, especially.
Who does that role fall in a work event, though?
This is what I'm saying. There's been plenty of moments, like even when I'm around, and then I do this around like my middle school and high school friends, like there are moments where I'll slide into, well, if they don't want to talk to me, then I'm not going to talk to them. They need to be the one to say, hey, how was your day? What was your week like? How has school been? Well, how are your kids? Like, they need to be the ones to tell me that, because I'm here for them, kind of thing.
Is it terrible that in my old age, though, I hear those kinds of questions and I sit here and go, I don't care. I'm not going to ask because I don't care. I just want to go be alone. This is me at 33. Get away from me. I don't want to make
this friends. Is what I'm saying. Like, there are plenty of moments where I look around and go, well, the person at the counter at the grocery store should be the one asking me questions to engage in some sort of relationship. Whether I want to or not, that's their responsibility or their job ultimately. Right? Because they're the host and they're the ones, you're in their grocery store and they're the ones helping and serving you. Most of the time these days it's, hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Don't talk to me again. Totally like an F you face as you're just doing your thing. My question is, when is that moment, or how do you know the moments of when you're supposed to take initiative in being the extrovert or starting the conversation?
I didn't feel like I had the energy to do it, so it wasn't my job today.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like there's
And
moments.
that same thing would be true in my home. If I planned an event and people came into my house and I didn't have the energy to spend to be around people, but it was my event, I planned it, but then the day came and I didn't have it, I'm going to be very. Usually, people come to my house I'm super close with, so I'm going to say, talk amongst yourselves. I'm not feeling it today. I'm going to be in here washing dishes. I love to listen, but I'm not engaging.
I mean, I can just see Sam sitting here going,
That's
"That's not the
rude.
right way to handle that.
That's
You
rude.
need to."
So rude. Rude.
Russell, that's rude. You can't say that. Which, and part of me
Rude is
goes,
subjective. That's
well,
called mental health.
this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. So I'm going to take this. I'm not going to take this to, the 100% level, but I will say there is the fine balance in our lives where we can really communicate well like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with having close friends come over and you're like, yeah, come over. Hey, let's hang out. And then 2 hours happen. You get a phone call from your dad that just emotionally throws you for a loop, right? Something
Yeah.
where you're just like, all of my chips have been spent and now I want a deep, dark place to process how I feel about a conversation I had. But everyone's now in your house and you're supposed to put it on and supposed to be the extrovert when you have nothing left to give. You can put a fake smile on and try and push yourself through it, which is probably what I do. You can be like someone, I would say like Sam, who totally has reserves of make everyone feel comfortable and happy and push through it and deal with it all later. And I think there's also a healthy way where you can look at somebody and say, hey guys, had a real conversation with my dad. Don't want to talk about it right now, but love y'all. And I'm just going to be right here and go for it.
I
I'll engage.
actually think
I'll
I
engage
would
you.
take maybe a less aggressive role in, like, say if you were at my house or if like Oscar was there or another outgoing person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull you aside and be like, yo, you got this. I'm gonna go upstairs. Like, we'll talk
Sure.
later. And I would just kind of pass the baton of hosting and being in charge onto someone else. If that were to happen, that's not like those kinds of crazy things happen all the time, but
No.
mm,
But at what point do you have to push through some of those things, especially when you use the idea of mental health? Not that I want to
it
put this.
depends on what it is. I feel like I would need a huge bomb dropped on me to get me to not to like have to say, "Hey, you guys got to leave my house."
Yeah, to disengage completely or to say you need the space. Totally.
I'd actually probably just end up venting about it to people. Like
Yeah,
if my
especially
mom
if you have
called
those
me or
close
said
friends.
something that
Yeah,
pissed me
yeah.
off, I would just be like, "Ugh, guess what just happened? Oh, did I tell you my story, or did I tell Sam of what happened to me in California this last weekend at the Chick-fil-A drive-thru?"
Yes, you got hit.
Yeah, I hate California. Hate.
California.
I told that to my dad, and my dad's so funny because he's like super right, and so I feel like he would be in favor of me saying I hate California. He goes, "That's a really strong word. You don't hate California." And then when I told him what happened, I was like, "I hate this state.
Hate.
Hate the state." The abridged version, for those of you listening who don't know, I got rolled into, my car got bumped in the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A by a
Oh,
crazy
no.
human who would not get out of their car until the police came to question her. My car is fine, barely a scuff, no big deal, but it was weird, super weird. That's
I
the
would just.
shortest I've ever told that story. There's a
I know
lot more
that
details
was a great summary because me and you can tell stories for days, and that
for
was a great
days.
summary. I just would love to see. I'd love to be two cars back of her rolling into you, you being like, "What the hell? Oh my god, what?"
For a second, I said to myself, I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm just going to pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah, just don't
But
deal
then
with
when I
it.
moved my
Oh.
car and her car came with me, I said, "Oh, I guess we're attached to each other."
Oh my gosh, that's priceless. I
Because
just want to be two cars back
I don't know if I
and to
showed you.
see the
Did I
person knocking on the window, hello, 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 and then someone try to open it and her slam it again. I'd be dying.
did I show you the picture of what happened?
No. Oh my gosh.
And so then, and she had her foot off the brake. So when I moved my car,
It
she
just went
moved
with
with
you.
me until I moved
Oh,
up far enough that. And at first, when that first happened, because when she first bumped me, I moved up and I saw her moving with me, and that's what kind of scraped the car. And that's when I got put my car in park, walked out, took a picture, tried to get her attention. She wouldn't get out of her car, so they had me move, and eventually her car like rubbed up against the curb and stopped her. But
that's
crazy, and
wild.
we still don't even know why she did it. Like she was either on drugs or diabetic and having an episode, or on Ambien and having an episode. Demon possessed. We have no idea. I have her name. I could totally stalk her. I have her name, her address, her birthday, her phone number.
Well, don't do all that, Mr. IT database.
I know I could do more with less. I could look her up with just a first initial and a last name. You know, it was like super generic Hispanic name, so probably not. But here nor there.
That's wild. That's crazy, bro.
I hate you so much. That's crazy,
Bro,
bro.
that's so crazy, bro.
So since you had the COVIDs and were locked in your house, what did you guys end up doing for Halloween? I saw some cute pictures. Was it so sad you just trick or treat in your house?
Um, so many family things that I will never divulge on this
Oh,
situation.
wise and
Um,
smart, crazy
Never.
sister.
But so there normally this 2 years ago. So last year, gosh, it was last year, wasn't it? During the full on COVID year. Went to sister's house and we did trick or treating in the backyard. So we had like every family who was there would set up a little booth and they just ran in circles and
Oh,
that's
that's
like
cute.
speakers and do a couple games and we were gonna do that. So we got COVID. So they did that without us. And Michael has at this point pretended that her cousins are in the house and pretends to play with them while they're in the house. Like, okay, Maddie, you go right there and you sit on the couch. Okay, you stay there and I'm gonna dance. Ha ha ha! Isn't that so funny, Matt? Ha ha ha! And like pretends that he's sitting on the couch with her, playing with her. So,
That is so precious and
needless
sad.
to say, our daughter is losing it.
She's not losing it. She's brilliant that her brain was able to make that for
I
herself.
know. She really is.
And
So
she
for
was still such a precious queen just a few minutes ago. And she's like, "All right, I'm done with this conversation. I'm gonna go watch Peppa Pig now. Bye."
yeah, she's. I'm very proud of Michael always.
She's the
Michael
best
James,
ever.
I'm very proud of you. Okay, good talk.
But she just like, cool, Dad, get out of here.
I should have slid it over to see her face.
Watching Peppa Pig now. Can you be proud of me later?
Well, it's a Peppa Pig interactive game, so she's done pretty good.
Oh.
I'm playing a Peppa Pig game. It's a
Oh.
birthday party one.
Is it Peppa Pig's birthday party? How old is he? Or is Peppa Pig a girl?
Peppa Pig is just a girl.
Oh,
And
I did.
and he's not even anything. I'm making the cake.
Oh,
Because it's just a little game.
so fun. Look at your beautiful house. Oh my gosh.
I'm very proud of you, Michael.
Thank you, Dad.
You're welcome, babe.
That precious girl.
Shows, yeah, I am very, very, very until bedtime. Until bedtime, I'm a very blessed father with a very perfect child until it's 3 a.m. and we've developed a very for all my parenting people. One, what is your nighttime routine? Do you have an hour-long routine where you snuggle and read a book and brush your teeth and then put jammies on and then take a bath and is like an hour-long routine? Or do you have like your 5-minute routine where it's like, hey, you put your jammies on, you get snuggled, you get prayers, and you go to bed. Like turn your light on, boom, and they just have to deal with it. Sometimes they come in and out. What is your nighttime routine as a parent? We have gotten into a terrible habit since previous vacation because, vacation just screws up all the routines where we're just like, you know what? Do we care if our daughter watches a movie but while she goes to sleep? Is like, we care if the TV's on? And both of us like don't. I grew up falling to sleep to Jerry Springer every night of my entire life.
What?
Yeah, that's
Jerry Springer.
Yeah, that's the parenting that I had. And I love my mom.
Oh, that wasn't an active choice for you to watch Jerry Springer. Your mom had put on Jerry Springer.
No. It was
You wanted to watch Jerry
internet.
Springer? There is nothing entertaining about Jerry Springer.
Except for the yelling and screaming and drama.
And you liked that as a child?
Me watching Jerry Springer and then Star Trek Next Generation, because that would come on after at like 11 p.m. on whatever. And this is when I had a turn dial TV. How did we get on the TV thing? I fell asleep to Jerry Springer every night, basically forever. Mm-hmm. And it was just because the drama and the screaming and the fighting. This was like probably first or second grade through 5th or 6th grade until we moved out of that house. My parents got divorced. Like it was a long time or I'm following up with all these Jerry Springers. And it was actually helped me to counsel my parents through a divorce as a young teen.
Well, as I was watching Jerry Springer last night, Mom, this is how you should handle this situation. Oh my Lord.
Oh, pretty much verbatim. Like there would be scenarios that I'd ask them like, Dad, are you sleeping with another woman? Is there a mistress involved in this divorce? Point of this whole conversation for the parents. We got in a bad habit. We're like, you know what? It's okay. Michael can pick a movie and she can sleep with her movie. And when the movie's over, what happens when the movie's over, Michael?
I go to sleep.
You do. You're supposed to go to sleep. But do you go to sleep?
No.
I know you don't. And why don't you?
I don't know.
Yeah. Remember we talked about making promises?
Because I'm not tired, Dad.
And being a good listener. No, it's quite the opposite. She's beyond tired. And then she'll fall asleep in the first movie. And then the movie will stop and she'll go to sleep until about 3 or 4. And then realizes that the movie is stopped and that she needs another one. And then we go, no, which turns into blood screaming, curdling, bratty behavior. And then we go, well, yeah, you're laughing because you know it's true.
And these are the things too.
Hey, Michael, don't change the subject on me right now. We're talking about you not listening when you're sleeping.
Excuse me.
Yes, Michael.
These are the things that we get to put on the cake.
I love that you get to put those things on the cake.
But
Are you going to be a good listener tonight when you go to bed? Michael James, are you going to be a good listener tonight when you go to sleep? Because you want good listening surprises, right? And to get good listening surprises, you need to be a...
And I will never break that promise. I'll be a good listener.
Okay, promise is a promise. And we're coloring the cake again.
It got a little too deep. She was like, I just want to color my Peppa Pig. Get out of here.
She didn't know because she was doing that. I did a promise yesterday. And I said, Michael, you broke your promise. And she said, Dad, what is breaking a promise? Why do they call it break a promise? Because when you make a promise, Michael, it's a bond. And then when you break it, it ruins that trust. And she said, I promise I will never, ever break a promise ever again. I'm like, okay. And she says, Dad, I promise tonight, real life. I promise, real life. I'm like, girl.
Speaking of broken,
what happened to your bowl?
I've had this candy bowl at work with me since working at Shadow Hills.
Oh yeah, that's a treat yourself bowl.
Treat yourself. I knocked it off today and it broke.
Oh, sad.
And now I feel like a season has officially come to an end.
Oh, seasons. Don't even get me started.
I need to get a new candy bowl. And I feel like I should just throw away the little sign.
Yeah, no, don't throw it away. Take the sign off and put it on.
I can just print another one.
Yeah, that's sad.
In color.
That's sad.
Well, that's all we got time for the podcast today. Thank you for listening. If you liked us, you should go follow us on Instagram because that's the only place we are on social media.
What did we even talk about today?
I think the title for this one's going to be something about like come to the dark side. Be a villain. What are your takeaways? Do you have any takeaways?
Takeaways for today.
Don't break your promises.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Don't fall victim to the darkness of your heart by making the wrong choice.
And not submitting to the authority put above you.
And get the vaccine. And
but it's all pro-choice.
And no, not.
How many likes or how many views do you think our video will get on YouTube if I call the video pro-choice?
It makes me sick.
I don't see.
It's like that roller coaster thrill. Like, please do that thrill, but don't because
I am not that person. I am not that person. I won't do that. You know that. But somehow our podcast got listed as explicit last week on Spotify or 2 weeks ago.
That's right. Who said
Dan.
Dan?
Dan? It was Dan.
Yeah, it was Dan.
And then it made me think, I didn't go back and look yet, but I might have clicked a button wrong to say that it was explicit. So I should probably check that.
Or did Sam just curse the whole time?
She curses like a sailor, that wife of yours. She really needs to get that acupuncture. I'm curious to see if it brings back her senses.
Yo, I can't smell any of this. Okay, there's the takeaway. Here's the takeaway. Check your baby's dirty diaper, even though you can't smell it.
Oh, no.
My son's scrotum is like a bright red apple because we haven't been able to keep up with the poop in his pants because I can't smell it.
You said scrotum. Now this is going to be explicit.
That's a scientific definition for what it is.
I don't love that you said scrotum, though. That made me a little...
All right, sorry, I won't say scrotum. His balls are like 2 fat, like
Isn't
red.
the scrotum the part between the butthole and your testicle?
Oh, now this is for sure split.
We are for sure out of time. So thank you for listening to us.
It's called the gooch. That's the in between space.
Thank you for listening to us on all wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for watching the YouTube video version. If you watched it, if you're listening, you can go watch the YouTube version on my channel, Real Life with Russell. If you're watching, you can go listen to this in your car. But if you watched it, you probably don't care to listen to us by ourselves. Follow us on Instagram. Like and follow the YouTube channel. We've got merch coming soon.
Merch.
I just wanted to see a reaction. We definitely don't have merch, but it is going to be something to do with scrotums for sure.
It's not plural. Oh, jeez.
It is when you're referring to multiple scrotums.
There are children in the room.
She doesn't even know what it is, and she's coloring Peppa Pig and couldn't even care. She could color Peppa. Hi, babe.
Now I already put treats in the goodie bag.
Ugh, you are so good at that.
Everybody cares. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Seasons, bro.